mom and I asked her, I was like, what's your background? Like, tell me more about your story. And she showed me this newspaper. It basically showed pictures of me being homeless with her. And it told the entire story of how she was struggling, just trying to get housing. And that's when I realized, like, just reading it, like, she didn't have to explain nothing, just reading that, it was like, it's time to go. Like, there's no excuses, there's no hanging around with friends by just hanging out. Like, I started to do things intentionally. It was, if we're gonna hang out, like, we're gonna talk business. We're gonna develop ourselves to go to that next level.
This episode was brought to you by The Hungry Pandas of eXp Realty, Mental Makeover, and Douglas Santos of Cross Country Mortgage. Welcome to another podcast of Make Excuses or Make It Happen. Today I have a very special guest, Gabriel Sanchez of Arizona State University. He's currently a freshman there studying business and finance. He's from Salem, Massachusetts, same as myself. Without further ado, I'll let him introduce himself. Gabe Sanchez.
Thank you, I appreciate it for bringing me on. My name is Gabriel Sanchez, born and raised in Salem. Typical kid, had no father, grew up, been through some hard times in life, and just going through all the tribulations, from seeing my mom homeless, from just seeing all the struggles that I had to go through, my mom had to go through. It just taught me so many lessons, and it brought so many blessings, even though I always seen it as a burden at the time. But as time goes on, I start to see these burdens turn into blessings for sure.
And how old are you, my bro?
I'm 19 years young as we talk right now.
I love it. Great to hear. And so, where are you currently based out of? What is your educational background before heading out to Arizona State look like?
So before heading to Arizona State, I went to high school, I graduated. During that period of high school, I wanted to make those years really count. My goal was to go to a private school. Obviously that didn't happen. I went to a public school, but the one thing I did is I made sure I made those days count. Every day count. Every year was like, let's make improvements. And just in those years, I made a commitment during high school to give it everything I got. Just during those 4 years, I developed myself to be a previous business owner of a construction company and also snow removal company. Wasn't really, a huge money-making company, but it was all about taking that risk, being able to showcase that, someone who comes from nothing with just ambition, just the desire to do it, is possible.
Yes, sir. That's what it's all about. And so, when was a moment in your life where you felt like there was no choice? You had no choice but to make it happen. There was no excuses that could be made.
That's a great one. Probably my senior year. I went to my mom and I asked her, I was like, what's your background? Like, tell me more about your story. And she showed me this newspaper when I think it was like right on 2000, 2002. And it basically showed pictures of me being homeless with her. And it told the entire story of how she was struggling, just trying to get housing and things like that. And that's when I realized, like, just reading it, like, she didn't have to explain nothing, just reading that, it was like, it's time to go. Like, there's no excuses, there's no hanging around with friends by just hanging out. Like, I started to do things intentionally. It was, if we're gonna hang out, like, we're gonna talk business. We're gonna develop ourselves to go to that next level. So I just started to take myself seriously, stop hanging out with certain people, not in a hate aspect, but in the aspect that, my mom, she built the ladder, but she didn't get to climb it.
Mm-hmm.
She built that ladder, but she may not be able to climb that. So it's like, if that ladder's there, I gotta take advantage of it, climb out, and start building my environment. Because the foundation is there. I just gotta start making my surrounding a lot better. My mom, she made it through, surviving, but now we're looking for luxury now. That's
right.
My
true
aim right
growth,
now.
Real true growth, and hitting that high level position where we're destined to be.
100%.
Yeah, no doubt. So you said you used a lot of your upbringing. You went through a lot of adversity, similar to myself. And you used it as motivation.
Yeah.
Like, that was your only option, right? You would say so. And so, is that what has driven you to be an entrepreneur as well? Or what is your why in entrepreneurship?
I'm a real observer. I was never a person who was the first one to speak, but I was always the first one to see how your feet move. So just being able to see the environment around me, seeing my mom, aunt, uncles, other people around me, just going home and being tired.
Mm.
That was that one word. Oh, I'm tired. I'm like, man, you just went to work and now you're tired. Like, you should be excited to come home, enjoy time with your kids, and just seeing how my mom. Not that I hated on my mom for doing that, but it was like it showed me my future. If I take this route, I'm gonna be tired. I'm gonna be in this cycle, and I was like, let's find a new route.
Right. Break the generational curse.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I just wanted to do something different, and I feel like that's always been sort of like my passion.
Because what's been shown to you isn't sustainable. It didn't work.
Yeah.
Because if it did, you would be in different positions.
100%.
And once you're very, because you have been so observant, you've been able to acknowledge what the right way to go about things is. Yeah. That's kind of what business school did for myself. When I got to business school and I realized that the students I'm sitting next to are backed by quite literally millions of dollars. The school is paid for, the books are paid for, the events and the partying, and it's all paid for, and then I'm studying finance where my examples, again, are 7 zeros. You know what I mean? You start to really take things literal when you quite truly observe and see how you can take these things on our everyday experiences and the positions we're in and extract them and then implement and execute them in a disciplined manner.
Yeah.
That's one of the biggest things that I took is when you are very observant in your surroundings and for example, an educational setting, there's so much you can take from there. And so I love to hear that's why you shipped yourself out to Arizona State.
Yeah.
Right?
And one of the biggest things, to just add on to this talk, I started on this journey, understanding why I wanted to take this route of entrepreneurship. I started to understand what was valuable.
Yeah, value.
Time was something I valued more than my family. Mindfulness, being able to just be present. There were certain things like that I saw my family didn't do, so it was okay, let's make sure I value the things that actually matter in life. Money's always gonna be there, so it was okay, I can't focus on money because it'll create that same cycle. So it was learning and being surrounded by certain individuals, observing them, people on social media, around different environments. Just I would legit walk to all these wealthy neighborhoods and just act like I lived there and say, good morning, good afternoon, have a good night.
I love
and
that,
it just
bro.
felt man, this is where I belong. It just felt so me.
Because if you don't expose yourself to it, how are you ever going to get enlightened by it, right? So it's you stay in the darkness until you just wheeze yourself out to open up the light at the end of the tunnel and then go get it. Man, there's so many metaphors that you can put to going through adversity in life and then bringing it to business.
Hey, it's Dick Lee here with eXp Realty. Just want to say thank you for watching the podcast of Make Excuses or Make It Happen. If you're a real estate agent or if you're a loan officer, please reach out to me. I want to make sure that you are financially aligned with your business. What does financially aligned mean? Well, that makes that your business is working for you. We want to make sure that you're maximizing your profitability, maximizing your revenue, and also working smarter, not harder. See, I've been doing this for over 27 years. I want to make sure that you're doing the same as well too. So hit me up, 508-277-9939, or follow me on Instagram at @TheRealDickLee. Thank you so much and have a great day.
Hey all, this is Chris with Mental Makeover. Wanted to come on here and talk a little bit more about our company, our mission, and our values. So Mental Makeover, it's a 501c3 nonprofit organization that started in August of 2018 after the deaths of Kate Spade and Anthony Bourdain. And since then, my team and I, we have been working to develop curriculum, education, and awareness for the youth in our community, especially in Salem. We've lost too many people to mental health struggles, and we wanted to do something about that. We wanted to be a little bit more proactive than reactive, and that's what Mental Makeover is striving to do. We're happy to sponsor the Make Excuses or Make It Happen podcast, as Xavier is a good friend of ours. He's from Salem, and he's making a difference in our community. And with that, thanks for having us.
You've got 3 years left in university. You're back home for the summer, going back. Sometimes I like to ask people maybe their 5 to 10 vision plan, but I think most important for you, when I like to say it for a lot of people, when you're in university, man, your most important thing is getting that degree. This is all that matters. It's the only reason you're there. And when you get your degree, then you got to move forward. So for you, the next 3 years, where do you see yourself throughout the progression? And when that day comes, when Gabriel Sanchez is a college graduate of Arizona State, where do you see yourself?
A lot of things that I see myself visioning, but the one thing I will say that I'm doing things, I'm developing the things now so that I will be there, is becoming a world generational leader. I think that's one thing that, I feel that God has called me to become. And where location-wise, I wouldn't really know at that point.
Yeah, wherever the
just
world
because
takes
it's
you,
like
right?
I love the country, I love the city. You can put me wherever, like I'll just love it. I was definitely gonna be in multiple homes. I will say that.
Own multiple properties?
100%.
Okay, that's what's up, man. I mean, power of real estate is where it's at, and especially since you're starting to build. That's one of the greatest things about you being at a university on the West Coast. You're gonna gain a global perspective, build national connections as well as regional. When you come home, you're gonna start to realize that. I mean, how we even just met the other day. You came home and came to the office and saw another local Massachusetts native who sent themselves out to university and business school at the University of Wisconsin. And so you start to see, and that person probably came from a very different background. But you start to see how, once we start to get older, in 18, 19, we almost all fall in the same position. And you gotta hit the ground running.
Yeah.
There's no time to waste, like you said. Like, that same discipline that you kept in high school is what you'll have to do in college, and how I felt. That's why I graduated in 3.5 years. Because I said time's of the essence. And every single credit that I add on is money. So I don't want to pay for it, and I want to get my life started.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to wake up every day and look at those 24 hours and make sure 6 hours is for sleep and 2 hours is for eating, and the rest is getting after it, right? And so what is the number one piece of advice that you would leave with people, whether it's someone younger like yourself, maybe a recent high school graduate that's entering their first couple years of college, someone who started a business and failed, or just a general, follower here that we have? What's one piece of advice that you would leave people with?
The one thing, like, especially for the younger generations out there, I would say start looking at the future plan. I think the biggest thing that helped me not be in the same cycle as my friends is understanding that the lifestyle I want to live helped me understand, like, okay, the partying is going to be there. The drinking is going to be there. I don't have to do this right now. Like, it's going to be there. Whether I die today or die, like, it's going to be there no matter what. So it was like, okay, that's when I started to realize the things.
What needs to be prioritized. Yeah.
And ever since that, I would say, like, that would be my biggest advice is once you find priority, all you need is purpose. With those little two things, you can accomplish anything.
And university is one of the best ways to find your purpose, believe it or not, because even if school's not for you, well, there again, you're going to go find your purpose. You're going to get there and leave. If school is for you, you're going to get surrounded by a professor that inspires you and ignites your purpose. You're going to read a book that you get assigned that you thought you hate, but you actually opened up the damn book and read it, and there's your purpose. You're going to read a story that relates, that you're able to practice. You're going to be in the lunchroom, in the cafe, and hear Gabe's story when you come from a completely different background. And then realize that you're studying either the same thing or different things. And so there's just so many dynamics and differences that you'll come across you can benefit from at university for personal growth. My grandfather said to me, when I got to university, I called him crying because I got a D my first test.
Yeah.
But what was that? It was just a matter of discipline. at high school I didn't study, but I left with over a 3.5. I thought I was the man.
Yeah.
You get to university, and I call him crying after I failed my first test, and the first question he asked was just, how many hours did you study? And I said 3. You know what I mean? And then that was the end of discussion. And as the years went on, I started refining my grades, and I started sending him good reports. And the whole point of the story is that when I graduated, towards graduation, when he knew that I was becoming a real estate agent, I was licensed, finishing 25 credits in university, he said one thing to me. He said a prayer with me over the phone. He said, I pray Xavier finds his purpose. And like, that was it. Here you are, you know, in Newton, Massachusetts right now, with high-level executives in the background, you know, refining your communication, your presence, establishing your presence, you know, gaining all the knowledge and experience necessary so that when you leave that university, you're ready to soar. You have so many connections behind you that are like, they're waiting for Gabe to come to them as a successful man, ready to be a businessman, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I applaud you for that, my bro. Came a long way, you know, still standing. That's all that matters,
100%.
right?
We're going to keep standing.
And we're going to keep going, you know? That's what it's all about. And so to wrap this up, how can we find you? You know, where can we find you on social media so that we can stay engaged, follow your journey, your mission, and stay connected?
Well, most of my journey is going to be recorded on Instagram. That's where you can find me. Instagram is the only Gab3. That's where you can find me. THE only Gab JB3. And just to leave off with a note, I have to touch on this because I feel like
Close this out. Let's go.
There's something that a lot of, at least my generation, I feel like they're devaluing school. And I feel like a lot of future generation are gonna devalue it. And I just want to make that note that college is more than just going to school. What it is an environment. It's one of the biggest environments, and I feel like that's where the value is.
I remember you said that to me. Where will you find
the biggest community
of like-minded on the same mission? At university.
College.
There's nowhere else.
You can't find it anywhere else. And I think that, you know, yes, schools need to be upgraded here and there, but where to find the ultimate purpose, I truly believe it's in college. No matter, like, if you're a dropout, you can find your way into a college and still find your purpose. Obviously, it takes some hustle, grind, being able to want to communicate with people. But ultimately, I feel like because of the huge community, like if you really start thinking about it, alumni, professors,
on a macroeconomic scale,
undergraduate, up and coming, like there's people coming in and out, investors, the world is huge. I just see that's like the backbone of how to really succeed. Not that you really need it, but is it a boost? 100%.
Actually, some of the best companies in the world are playing this out for us. What you start to see with Facebooks and Microsofts of the world, some of the best and biggest companies, is that they're turning themselves into university. Google. You could go ahead, Gabe, and get Google certified in 5 different things. You're now certified to go apply to jobs. And not on top of that, you could earn yourself an internship with Google and go live on their campus. Well, what's a campus? What university does, the same concept. Getting everybody like-minded who knows what they're doing in a certain vicinity and letting it all soak in.
The concept is there.
Yeah, so I think, that's some of your main points, man. Stay educated, stay faithful, you know, enjoy life, stay positive, stay kind, stay interactive and engaged. And
be at the libraries.
Yeah.
Bro, let me tell you something. Colleges, they have the best libraries. They have the biggest libraries. These public libraries, you can only go so far.
That's what he wanted to leave you with. Read your damn books, all right?
I can keep going, but we can close it off.
Yeah, no, Gabe, thank you, my man.
Of
It's
course.
been a pleasure. Looking forward to doing business with you and growing together for the rest of our business career, man. Thank you, everyone, for watching, and that wraps up today's episode.